My name is Aileen. I'm a rich and happy woman, but I'm very tired of my friend Marta. Today she came to my house again and knocked on the gate. I saw her car from my window and pretended I wasn't home. Then she started calling my cell phone. I didn't pick up the phone. Then she sent me a voicemail. I listened to it 6 hours later. I didn't hear anything new. Marta again complained that she couldn't cope with her problems. She also complained about the psychologist she's been seeing for 3 months. By the way, I brought her to this psychologist, and at the end of her message, Marge once again asked me to lend her money, although all the wealth of my last husband went to her. And the story was this. My husband John was a hard-working man. He and I worked hard, built a big house, and John's father was going to give us a farm. He opened 2 stores in a neighboring town and then went to bed. He asked us to take him to the hospice as he needed company. We visited him every week. John was very worried about his father's illness. No one of those days he felt sick and went to the doctor. After much examination, the doctor said that my husband had an incurable but sluggish disease. The doctor advised us to follow a special diet and daily regimen. Now he was not allowed to experience negative emotions, and even work on the farm had to be limited. Gradually, we got used to this way of life. I knew that my husband could die at any moment. We rejoiced every new day and tried not to think about it. But the series of failures didn't end there. I underwent a routine examination and took tests at the clinic. The next day, I got the results of the tests. You have stage 4 cancer, the young doctor told me. That can't be. There is nothing bothering me. Perhaps it will be worthwhile to check the tests, I asked. This is very insidious disease. In the early stage, it does not manifest itself in any way, and in the correctness of the test you cannot doubt, said the doctor and hurried to prescribe my treatment. At the same time, he often looked at his phone. I noticed that he was having an emotional conversation with someone by correspondence. Judging by the happy expressions on his face, it was his favorite girl. Most likely, she had sent him rosy pictures and was waiting for him to visit. The young guy was in a big hurry. I said I was refusing treatment. My grandmother had this disease, and I knew that in the 4th stage, treatment doesn't help much. I came home in a bad mood. I didn't tell John anything because he might go to heaven before I did. After thinking for a couple of days, I decided to share my news with my friend Marta. Marta lived not far from us, and we had been friends for years before. She made no secret of the fact that she had always liked my John as a man. John thought she was cute too. Over those 2 days, I had imagined what it would be like for John to be without my care. He needed a woman to take care of his special diet, to remind him of his daily regimen, to entertain him every day. By then, I had accepted that I didn't have long to live. I felt very sorry for my husband. Marta, in the next few days, I have to go to town and finish some things. Could you stop by our house once a day and make some diet for John? And make sure he doesn't watch any crime shows on TV, I asked. Martha agreed. 3 days later, I returned from my trip and witnessed a crazy scene. They were already having carnal pleasures in our bedroom. John was embarrassed when he saw me, but Martha was not confused. She summoned me to frank conversation. Aileen, I prefer to be honest. You told me yourself you didn't have much time left. John could be happy on his own, and if he gets used to me before I had, he will suffer less after you're gone. It may sound cynical, but that's the truth of life. You try not to take offense on me, Martha said. I couldn't argue with her, as I had initiated the idea myself. A few more days passed, and I couldn't get a day that the conversation out of my head. I realized I wasn't dealing with the stress. My neighbor Sarah noticed my sad mood. I know a very good psychologist. I lost his card, but you will remember his address. He sits on the 50th floor in one of the business centers in the nearby city. You should go see him, she advised. I liked that idea. The next day, I got into my car and drove to the city. On the way, I kept thinking about how Martha had betrayed me while I was still alive. I vividly pictured the day of my own death. I was sure that on that day, Martha will wear her best dress and have a romantic dinner with my husband. They will start a new chapter in their lives, and I will probably be buried in a house surrounded by devils, or standing in line at the gates of heaven. I came to the right building and leisurely went up the stairs. I found the psychologist's office at once. When I opened the door, there was a man with long hair sitting there. He was wearing a black SpongeBob t-shirt. He had earrings in one ear. I imagined the psychologist's appearance a little differently, but I didn't pick on his clothes. Hello? My friend Sarah sent me to you. I sat down opposite him in the chair. What happened? Asked my psychologist. Well, my husband and my friend have betrayed me. I have very little left to live for. One moment, I want to die quickly. The next moment, I want to leave. What do you do? I asked. No offense, but I understand your husband. Why are you so down on yourself? And what that sad look in your eyes? You should square your shoulders, put your chest forward, and button your shirt. No, I don't think that shirt looks good on you at all. You should throw it away, he said. Then he asked me to stand up and spin around in front of him. I did. Then he stood up, walked over to me, gently touched my breast with 2 hands, looked at them for a long time and said, Your breasts are gorgeous. Your waist is thin. Your butt is nice too. I have an idea. We are going to learn how to put your husband and your friend in their place. I will dictate the words to you, and you repeat them, he said. And then we moved in a big room with mirrored walls. He said some nonsense about my husband and Martha, then demanded I repeat it. When I tried to say all the nonsense with my shirt unbuttoned, I suddenly felt funny. I looked at myself in the mirror and laughed out loud. Then my gaze fell again on the image of SpongeBob on the psychologist's t-shirt, and then I couldn't stop laughing. He was laughing too. When we pulled ourselves together with great difficulty, he motioned for me to go back to his office. Then he opened a small bar, took out some red wine and poured it into glasses and offered me a drink. While he was telling all sorts of stories, he and I drank the whole bottle. I want another drink, I said, but I don't have any more wine, so we can go to the bar. And on the way, we will go to the mall and look for a dress for you, he suggested. I said yes. A couple hours later, I was sitting in a new dress in front of the psychologist, and we were drinking wine again. It's no one's fault that this is the way it is. If you got another woman, you can get another man too. It's very simple, he said. Just don't you dare suggest casual license to me. I have principles, I said. I have a girlfriend, and I won't cheat on her, even with you. But we can go to a club and you meet someone there, suggested my therapist. We left the bar close to midnight and headed to the dance club. There we ordered wine again and drank until almost morning. By then my psychologist was pretty drunk. He fell asleep at the table and I was bored. A very interesting man came up to me. He offered me a cocktail. I didn't refuse. My name is Philip. I'm a tourist here. I came to see your nature. Tomorrow I'm going to hitchhike the most remote village. Will you like to keep me company? Philip asked. I do, I said without thinking, but it was really the red wine that spoke for me. By then it was dawn, and Philip had to get ready for the road. We called 2 cabs, loaded my psychologist into one, and sent him home. The second cab took us to Philip's hotel. There we changed into comfortable clothes. It was my first time hitchhiking. As we reached the village, we got into 3 different cars and met some interesting people. We reached our destination in the evening. I'm hungry. Can we eat somewhere? I asked. I'm really hungry too. I think there shall be a food court here, Philip said, then reached into his pocket, but was immediately horrified. Oh, I had lost my wallet and my cell phone. My wallet held all my money and payment cards in it, and the payment app was still in my cell phone. Eileen, we are lost, said Philip. He started to panic a lot. What are we going to do? How do we contact someone? Where's the police station around here? We need to look for help, he repeated. My new friend turned out to be a fuzzy guy. I've got something to make you happy too. I ran out of money last night when the counselor and I went to a bar. We drank all our money there, I said. You're crazy, he exclaimed. After a few minutes, Philip was ready to cry, but I had an idea. Phil, do you believe in humanity? I asked. No, I don't want to back on the streets and humiliating, Philip objected. Then, just follow me. We need to learn how to survive, I said. Then I looked around the village. I found it very pretty. I chose the prettiest gate and knocked on it. A gray-haired little old man with smiling eyes came out to us. I told him that we were tourists and were in trouble. You can spend the night with us. We will feed you, give you a bed for the night, and then you decide how to proceed, said the old man. So we were honored guests in the strange house. The old man turned out to be the head of the family. He had a grown-up son, a daughter-in-law, and a grandson. They fed us delicious and incomprehensible food, bedded us in a comfortable hammock for the night, and woke us up in the morning with the aroma of delicious coffee. Philip and I were still wondering how to get out here, but the old man made a suggestion. Guys, there is tradition in our village. If there is a wedding in the house, everyone has to participate. Today my only grandson is getting married to his favorite girl. If you don't stay for the wedding, my neighbors will laugh at me all my life that my guests didn't honor me. You won't refuse me the honor of being my guest, will you? Asked the old man. Philip hesitated, and my answer was ready. Yes, honored man. We will not let them laugh at you. We will stay for the wedding. I replied. Philip has to agree. The wedding was noisy and fun. A lot of people came, every one of them shaking our hands and taking pictures without end. Philip and I were seated next to the bride and groom. We were told that according to tradition, in this village it is customary to put a crown on the heads of the new leads, and that the happily married couple should do it. The old man said he wanted us to do the honors. But he and I are not married, I said. That can be remedied. We'll marry you now. To be in a relationship without marriage is a great sin before God. And I don't want to punish you, said the old man. We don't know each other very well. I need time to think, Philip objected. The one of the local came up and whispered in our ears that we were being rude. I'm 105 years this year. I'm the oldest person in this village. No one dares to speak against my will. I bring only goodness and justice to people, said the old man. I agree, said Philip with a frown on his face. After that, the old man introduced one of the younger men to get 2 more crowns. Then he put them on us and pronounced us a husband and wife. In the second part of the wedding, Philip and I put the crown on the newlyweds. The wedding host then announced the music portion of the evening. The guests danced most of the night. Philip and I joined them. In the morning we really wanted to sleep, but we decided to go on our way. Then the old man said, Are you not yet allowed to leave? You have become Heavenly relatives of a new family, and according to our tradition, heavenly relatives are supposed to be fed for 7 more days. Philip made a sad face again, but I pretended not to notice. We were allowed to sleep until lunchtime. After lunch, a few more people came. They brought treats for us and gifts. We had to sit around the table with them, eating, drinking, and dancing all night. The next day was similar to the previous day. Philip and I only slept for a few hours, and then the guests came with gifts and treats. We had to sit at the table, eat a lot of delicious food, drink homemade wine, and dance to the sounds of guitar almost all night. That's how we spent 7 days. When we were about to finally leave, we realized that we will need a truck to carry all of our gifts away. Why do we need all this stuff? Why don't we just leave it here? Philip suggested. But the old man said he'll be offended by that. So I suggested an idea. We had a truck from a neighboring village, and then we will think about it. Philip asked me if I was crazy. I just winked at him with one eye and didn't say anything. In the next village, we stood on the main street and sold our gifts in a whole day. In the end, we made enough money for a safe ride to the city. How did you like this trip? Asked Philip as we drove back. Ellen, you're crazy. I've been looking for a woman like you all my life. Philip said and laughed the whole way back. I came home a married woman. By then, my husband was frightened by my disappearance and was going to report me to the police. I lied to him that I was visiting my aunt. I couldn't tell the truth because his father had died while I was away. John became his heir. When my husband recovered from his grief, I told him that I'd been true. When my husband learned that I had married another man, he felt sick. Martha and I couldn't get him to the hospital in time. He died on the way. I organized a big funeral to give my John a proper send-off. Martha helped me with everything. And when 40 days had passed, Martha came to me and said, Helene, I hope you weren't sick coffins. When you were gone, John made a will and left all his property in my name. So you will have to move out of this house soon, she said. Everything is ready. Here's my suitcase. I'm waiting for a cab. I told her, and it was true. My new husband has a country house in a neighboring town. That is vacant, 11 months for the year. He and I agreed that I will not move to his country, but he will visit me whenever he wanted. He insisted that I move into his house and live there as his landlady. As I left in the cab, I saw a lot of joy in Martha's eyes. But she didn't know we had a family secret. His father said that then he will give his farm to his son, but in order for the farm to bring in income, he had to open a couple of stores in town. So we had to take out a big loan. So our farm and our stores were owned by the bank. In the last few months, it became difficult for us to make the loan payments, and we got into a lot of debt. And according to the law of our region, whoever owns the property is responsible for the debt. But no, it was all Martha's problem. As soon as I settled into my house, I got a call from a girl I didn't know. Our manager apologized to you. The thing is, there were some interns working the day you took the tests. They mixed up the test results, and some of them even sued us. We are very sorry for the stress you have been under, she said. So, in 1 minute, it turns out that my death had been cancelled. Philip didn't know about it. I decided there was no need to tell him now, but peace in my life didn't come soon enough. Not 2 months later, Martha came running to me, making claims about why I hadn't told about the debt. John and I had been getting used to hiding our problems from the beginning. We only shared the good things with people. It had nothing to do with you. It was the standards of our relationship, I replied. Martha asked me for a loan of money, and I gave it to her. After a couple more weeks, Martha came to see me again. She complained that the bank wanted to take everything away. She was failing at running the farm, and the stores were on the verge of going under. She asked for money again, and I gave it. But I knew her story wouldn't stop there. Martha was depressed. I remember my neighbor Sarah and suggested Martha see a psychologist. She asked me to go with her. I agreed because I had the desire to thank this brilliant psychologist. We arrived at the same building and went up to the right floor. When I opened the office door, I saw a young guy in the psychologist's seat. He quickly explained to me that a children's boxing coach sits in the office and the psychologist is a floor above. Only now I realized that I had mistakenly come to the wrong psychologist, and the real psychologist is still working with Marta. But so far, there have been no changes in her life.